Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. Arsenal beat Manchester City 1-0 and they blow the doors off the Premier League title race. 2 losses in a row for Manchester City, Wolves and then Arsenal today. The Premier League top 4 is separated by 3 points going into the second international break, with Arsenal and Spurs top on 20, Man City on 18 and Liverpool on 17. Are we about to get a competitive Premier League title race? Fingers crossed. I really hope we do. But before we get into the game, let's not forget football won today. Football won today. Justice was served today. And we mustn't forget, and I think Arsenal fans really have a responsibility with the rest of football fans to highlight this issue. If Arsenal had drawn or lost that game, the people would be in uproar on social media tonight. But Arsenal fans will forget. They'll forget because they won the game. That they shouldn't forget. That was a complete and utter stain on the game for the second week in a row. And we shouldn't be so naive and manipulated as football fans to just brush it under the carpet because the right team won the game. The bottom line is Michael Oliver should be suspended. The PGMOL should be releasing the audio again, and they should be apologising twice to Arsenal. But I guarantee you they're going to get away with it again. It'll get swept under the carpet again because we're a results-led business, and Arsenal won, so they won't care about that injustice. But if they'd drawn or lost, it would be huge. Well, I would say that the decision's still huge regardless. It's a disgustingly bad decision. As I say, Gusto 2 weeks ago, Curtis Jones last week, red cards, Kovacic tackles worse, they review it, they give a yellow card. And then a few minutes later, he's on a yellow card, he should have been sent off anyway, but he's on a yellow card wrongly. He's still on the pitch, studs on Rice, not a second yellow card. Michael Oliver says play on. These decisions are a disgrace. They're an absolute joke. This is negligence on a major scale. They've just had huge scrutiny because of robbing Liverpool of a goal in the biggest game of the week last week. And then the biggest game of the week this week, the biggest game of the season, Arsenal against Man City, they're not sending a player off twice. If Man City go and win that game, Arsenal are asking the same questions that Liverpool are. You know, are we not in the unique position now where Arsenal deserve 2 apologies from the same game? Somebody's got to give here. Somebody's got to give here. It's just not acceptable. And you know what? I'll be walking a lonely path, but I've been walking a lonely path with some of you for weeks. The system is broken. They are a dictatorship. There is a referee from the Liverpool game last week who's been suspended indefinitely. Michael Oliver will be refereeing international games this week, and he'll be back refereeing in the Premier League in 2 weeks' time. He's an absolute joke. He should be suspended, but he won't be because it's mates rates, it's favouritism, it's nepotism. It's not acceptable. And it's coming to a club near you. Arsenal were very lucky today that those decisions didn't cost them points in a big game. Liverpool have already lost points. Man United have had it with handballs. Other clubs have had it with handballs and red cards. It's just not acceptable. Where is the consistency in our great game? And we are suffering big time. But thankfully, we are not sat here talking about Arsenal being robbed, because that would have been the headline like it was Liverpool last year. They could have been robbed, but fortunately the footballing gods smiled upon them tonight and they have ended up with 3 valuable points, which gives us a Premier League race that hopefully can be really exciting. Look, it was a game of very few chances. I saw Erling Haaland and people were saying people need to send out a missing persons report for Erling Haaland. Yeah, they do. It's the world of a striker. It doesn't matter whether you're Lewandowski, Erling Haaland, Romelu Lukaku, or a Preston North End striker. If you don't get service and you're a striker, unless you're Lionel Messi and you can do it on your own, you're going to have a quiet game. I've seen it at United for years. It's called the graveyard shift. There's nothing going on. Arsenal are a good defensive side. Saliba is probably one of the best centre-backs in Europe at the moment, certainly in the Premier League. And Haaland was deprived of opportunities. This is what can happen. The more interesting thing is, why are Man City not creating chances for Erling Haaland? Because if they do, he will score them. But it was a tight game for both teams. I think both teams had 1 shot on target deep into the game. The winning goal is fortuitous. I mean, Martinelli's shot is not going to go in. Ederson's going to save it. In fact, he doesn't even need to save it because it's blocked. Fortunately, it hits Aki in the face and ends up in the back of the net. You look at it in the first half, Raya gets caught on the ball, goes to kick it clear, it hits the side of the net from Alvarez. I mean, it was always going to be a fine margins game. You win those games, you feel on top of the world. You lose those games, you feel like shit. And it could have gone either way. It was really tight. It was a boring game. They cancelled each other out. And that's always the risk. If you win those games, you look at it and you forget about it and you go 3 massive points. You lose those games and you question your tactics, don't you? You think, I could have been a little bit more on the front foot. Neither team wanted to overload in the attack in case they left the door open at the back. And therefore, it's a game of chess. And it's just about, are you going to get the dodgy decision? Are you going to get the penalty? Are you going to get the offside? Are you going to get the deflection? Or are you going to get that moment of magic where someone just scores a worldie? Arsenal got that moment of deflection. And for the league, I think it's really good. I said I think Man City will have this league title won by Christmas, in the sense that they'll be 10 points clear. If they'd beaten Wolves and they'd beaten Arsenal today, they'd be 4 points clear of Spurs, 7 points clear of Arsenal. So that just shows you how important these last 2 games are. And we still need Man City to drop more points. I still think Man City are firm favourites to win this title. It's not unusual for Man City to drop points in the autumn. What normally happens with Man City, and it's very like United under Sir Alex, it's about, working your way into the season, and then when you hit Christmas, you're in your zone until May. And I think Man City will do it again. I think they will be back in that zone. So what the Liverpools and the Spurs and the Arsenals and maybe the Villas and maybe the Newcastles and maybe the Brightons, what they need to do, considering Brighton play Man City next, what those teams need to do is drag Man City down to their level. Start drawing. Start taking some points off them. And then, this title race could be massively interesting. But look, Arsenal got what they deserved today. Not because they played well. Arsenal got justice today because the referee robbed them of what would have been an hour against Man City 10 men and a guaranteed draw at the very least. So Arsenal got what they deserved because the referee tried to take it away from them. Fair play. Fair play. Get your comments in below. What were your thoughts on the game? What are your thoughts on the title race? Do you genuinely think we've got a title race? Or do you think this is the end of Man City? Or do you think Man City will still come through? Who is the real contender to Man City as well? Surely Arsenal, with their pedigree from last year, are. Liverpool aren't far off. Could Spurs stay in there? Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you a little bit later. I'm on the United Stand at 8 o'clock as well if you want to tune in. Thanks for watching.